Thank you very much for taking a ride. This is great.
I was just really interested about this format because it's really easy. It's not usual.
Yeah. I found, like, for me personally, just being in the car and driving, it's so different than sitting behind a desk or at a table or
Yes.
I don't know. It's just different. It kind of brings out different conversation as well. It seems.
Well, because car for many people, at least for me, oftentimes, actually, it's become a chapel. That's
Yeah.
where I pray. That's
Yeah.
where I have many spiritual conversations with my friends or people.
Yep.
Sometimes reach out and just wanted to talk about things and things of the heart.
Right. You just get away and you get all the land and all the beauty, the creation that's around as well. Sometimes when I'm in the car by myself, I don't know if you've ever done this before, but sometimes I pray out loud by myself, but like have a conversation, not like a written prayer. Like I'm just like, all right, God, here's what I'm thinking. Like what's happening here,
Yes.
and I just have this loud conversation.
I don't have a loud conversation in the car, but I do pray a lot in the car.
That's good.
Yes, because I drive a lot, and
Yeah.
I enjoy driving. For me, it's just a very nice and quiet time. And if I don't pray, I listen something very beautiful. What I love to listen is music or podcasts or
Yeah.
that's the only time actually I can listen podcasts. Or,
Yeah.
Or I just make thousands of phone calls. That's become part of my life very much. And I live in 2 time zones, in Ukraine and America. It's 8 hours difference. So
8 hours difference. Oh boy.
yeah. So as soon as I wake up, that's when I begin my phone calls to the volunteers of Chalice of Mercy, and what's going on, and especially right now in Ukraine is very difficult time that people are living, and there's a lot of suffering. So there's a lot to talk about, especially in preparation. So anyway, we're talking about this. Sometimes it is the only time, really, between the action part of the mission and driving to the action part of the mission. That's where I make my phone calls.
Yeah.
So,
do you talk with them every day?
Every single day.
Every single day,
Yes. There is a lot need to be organized. And Zaporizhia, city where I'm from Ukraine, right now is pretty much a frontline city. Everything is really surreal. It's hard to explain even.
Yeah.
It's something that you bit by bit become to realize this is the reality of real war. What my grandmother was telling me about. She lived, so many people, elder people, were telling about wars and famines and suffering and persecution, especially during the Soviet Union time. All of these stories have been part of my life because grandma and grandpa, they were sharing. They were young people, My grandmother was born in 1934, and so she lived basically the consequences of war and famine, and suffered a lot. Left without parents early in her childhood, so had to work when she was 7 years old. She had to go to work already, and worked alone. Together with adults. For a little bit of food, and so I remember the story she was telling me that her and her little sister and a brother, older brother, 2 brothers she had, so it's 4 of them in the family. And she said one day she went to collect some grain, just wheat, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And there was a group of people was just walking, and one person shouted, basically at her, saying, "What are you doing, stealing the grain and eating?" You know, this child was left without parents. She was hungry, you know, and she was collecting this, wheat.
Yeah.
And then she, you know, basically and another person was just really defended her. But it was such an evil time.
Yeah.
Hard to believe that actually the human heart can become so dull.
Yeah.
So absolutely cruel.
Yeah.
And willing to kill and starve and, you know, just horrible.
Yeah.
And another story I remember she was telling me that her aunt during the night would bring them food to eat. Her husband worked at like a store, like a village store, you know, and they had food. They had things to wear and food to eat. And so, but her husband forbidden her, and her cousins, especially particularly one, would really, say to the father, if the mother brought and collected some food, you know, organized some food to bring to the kids, she would tell to the father, and the father would get so mad at this fact, you know, that she was bringing the food. He's wanting them to die, basically. And at night she would bring food to feed these children, you know, and yeah, so they survived basically because of her.
Because of her.
Yeah.
The stories that come out, as terrible as the time it is, the stories of what people will do in the face of that is quite something. And now we're seeing that happen again over there.
That happening again.
Like.
And you know, I cannot not think about the fact that the apparitions of Our Lady in 1917 in Fatima, and when she spoke to the children, Russia must be converted to my Immaculate Heart, otherwise it will spread airs throughout the world. The greatest wars will begin. So what we see, you know, right now is what the consequence of the communism, what the consequence of, you know, basically the heart without God is capable of doing. You know?
Yeah.
Because the ideologies and, let's say, what it calls the theology of Karl Marx, you know, the idea that we do not need God, let's just become one nation, one heart, you know, united for one cause, and we have one leader, the one who will dictate us what we must do.
Yeah.
You know, so and everything collapsed. In fact, you know, oftentimes, and I think, you know, even now we think, how can people massively follow something like this? Like follow Hitler, for example.
Right. I've never understood. I don't understand.
How can you agree to this? Somehow it will be okay.
Yeah. Right.
So how can you believe that killing anybody or annihilating some nation is okay and it's a worthy cause?
Yeah.
You would collect thousands, millions of people. You would gather them under your name, under your banner, and that you will lead them. No.
Yeah.
So the same happened during the time of Lenin. No?
Right.
So Lenin was quite charismatic speaker, you know, and young people, especially after revolutions, you know, and so many of them left without parents, without grandparents, and there was nobody to teach them about God.
Yeah.
They were 15, 16, 17 years old, and you know, older, of course. But older, these people were, you know, men primarily, and women, either killed in war, you know, either they were starved to death. So you have orphans, literally orphans, and it's easy to convince somebody who's really broken and hurt that there's no God, right? So if there would be God, you would not be in a situation as you are, you know? So, but we are here to liberate you from any influence and any opium, you know, that the church is offering you.
Yeah.
Because there's no God. There's just no God.
Yeah.
It is you and your leader who you must follow, and that's the reality of life.
So put all your hope in that person or that regime.
Yes. In fact, it was very attractive because the human heart is really attracted to the goodness always, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, it seems a righteous cause. It's like we were lied. All of the czars and rich people and courts and all, they always kept us very low. But now, this injustice will be changed.
Yeah.
And plus, communism, if you would really study that, or even just, let's say, would look at that, just touching the surface, let's say, you will be able to see that it is really similar to 10 Commandments. You know, you need to be a good person, you need to be honest person, you know, all of the values were there.
Yeah.
And so the people were very attracted to this. You know, it's like the fly would be attracted to you know,
it's like a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, so and the human heart is very fragile, especially if there is no foundation on God in that. You know, so so you have Lenin, who's charismatic and young and, you know, talking good stuff, and young people who are convinced, and so you got all of this together. And so Lenin, of course, he died in 1920s. In fact, his last paper that he signed, it is a permission of legalization of abortion, basically at any stage of pregnancy.
Wow.
It's 1920s,
1920s.
Yes. So it was just 100 years ago, not that long ago. You know, so not celebrated.
Right. Did you, when you were growing up, did you have church and anything like that, or when was the first time you were introduced to anything to do with God, where you were like, there may be something to this?
So my beautiful grandma, my grandmother Vera, she was, in my opinion at that time, you know, I mean, I thought that she was the most religious person because she had an icon in the corner of her room. It was a style, you know, you just place the icon in the corner of the room. And she always had a holy water. I have no idea where she got it, but she had it.
She had it.
And I grew up in a family. We never prayed together. We never went to the church together. When I was an infant, I was baptized because everybody was doing it. It was actually, imagine the paradox. Hardly anybody believed in God. Let's say it was agnostics, you know, like it was just. But people still would baptize their children, even though they knew it was very dangerous. You could be in a very severe trouble if you do that. You know, like my parents got in trouble for baptizing me. Yeah, my father was called to the, you know, party office, and they knew that he has baptized his daughter. And because, well, what was happening is that churches were locked, but some were open, just to show to the world there is no persecution of faith.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
But those that were open, they had, it's a Russian Orthodox Church, so it's a Russian Orthodox Church, but every church I think it was like only two open in the city of 1 million people. Okay, so you have doors open. People were able to baptize. Seems like secretly and all of that, but yet inside there were spies. Most likely, the priests themselves was the spies.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because good priests, a real authentic priest of Russian Orthodox Church, were persecuted and sent to gulags and concentration camps.
Oh, wow.
But instead of them, KGB agents dressed in
Really?
priest clothing and collecting the documents. Yeah, that's how effectively they have destroyed basically, faith. So they were persecuting those and collecting information on those who possibly would believe.
So what happened to your dad when?
He was called into the party office, very next day, and they told him, "You have baptized your daughter yesterday. Do you believe in God?" They basically begin to question him.
Oh.
And they said to him that if they will ever find out that he's making his foot inside of the church, that he will lose his job and he will lose his, privileges and all of the things from work, So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
wow.
And it was really dangerous. It was really dangerous, especially in Zaporizhzhia city, because this city was the dream of Lenin. He dreamed about building something that is similar to Nova Huta in Poland.
Okay.
A city without God, example for all. Look, people would gather together and work for the future of the country. And they didn't needed God. They only need, to have faith in their leader and in themselves and their strength. So focus on your leader and focus on yourself to be behaving good citizen. So you follow perfectly, but just exclude any other imagination. Everything else is schizophrenia, basically.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but my grandmother, imagine.
Yeah.
She kept in her heart a prayer that her grandmother, my grandmother, taught her. And she said to me, Valentyna, I was about 7 years old.
Okay.
And one day she decided that she's going to call me to her room where was the icon in the corner. And we stood there and she said, make the sign of the cross. This is how it was should be. And she taught me the Our Father prayer. She said, in case God exists. So she really did not believe it, actually. Because she was one of, she grew up without father, without mother, without grandmother. Basically, she was left orphan very early in life.
Yeah.
And so living so much suffering, she really, and not having maybe education, definitely no catechism, none of that, It's just, she really suffered so much, and she questioned, will God exist? If there's just so much suffering, does He exist? But she felt a duty to teach me to say this prayer in case God exists. And she said, when it's going to be very difficult for you in your life, you remember this prayer. And she taught me Our Father.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how profound is that?
Yeah.
That she didn't believe her, so wasn't sure, but yet was instrumental in passing the faith on.
Yes.
And a cornerstone moment in your own faith life.
Yeah, she felt that this is very necessary, and I always said to her, Grandma, you taught me, you were you laid that very cornerstone foundation for my faith and for Chalice of Mercy mission.
Yeah.
And she would just laugh, you know. And I would say to her, Grandma, you know, do you believe in God now? I have to tell you this. It was my very, very great pain and suffering for a long time, because she would be responding to me, who knows? Who knows?
Wow.
You see me converted because of this prayer.
Right.
And
she's still holding on.
She got sick. She had cancer, and my mother also was the same. You know, she gave maybe possibility. You know, maybe there's a chance that God exists. Okay, maybe He exists. But when grandmother was gonna go through the surgery, my mother insisted that she would go to confession. I said, you girls are amazing. You really kind of want to...
Right.
You actually, at the serious moments of life, you really think about God, and what makes you think about God that way, you know?
Yeah.
Like, so you give more chance to God than to your doubts.
Yeah.
You know, so...
Yeah.
My grandmother died a beautiful death. This coming January will be 2 years since she has passed away. And it was absolutely beautiful death. And as she was dying, it was not easy death. But at the end, imagine, she had basically I don't know the name in English. She had enlargement of her heart. Her heart was just... You know, that disease that her heart grew.
Yeah.
And so she was dying, and she was very short of breath. She was grasping for air. And my mother was on the phone with her as she was dying, imagine. And my uncle was there with grandma. And all of a sudden, my grandmother said to Mom, stop, don't talk about anything. She said, Tatiana, I see Jesus. And she said, He's walking towards me. And I see on one hand, on the left, she said, the righteous souls. And on the right hand, all the saints. Now, my grandmother don't have vocabulary. I mean, you have to understand that this is not something that she could just all of a sudden imagine or come up, and she was never someone who storyteller. You
like
know
on her own, she wouldn't have known that's what she was seeing without divine.
Absolutely. And she said that also she saw Our Lady coming to Jesus and saying something to him as my mother was talking to her. Imagine.
Wow.
And my mother, what is she saying to him? She said, I cannot hear. Now, she was short of breath. She couldn't even talk. And all of a sudden, everything stopped. She was talking to my mother. And she said, now they're calling my name. She said, please forgive me all for anything if I hurt anybody. And I forgive you all. And she was just, she passed away. Wow. You know, Chris, I prayed. I had hope to the last, like, I said to my father, I call God my father because I do not know him in any other way. Say, please, I offer my life, I do this mission. I cannot do mission for my relatives as probably somebody else could do a better job, you know. It's always harder.
It's hard. Some of them are too close. Yeah.
It's hard. But I do this. Please take care of them. At least at the moment of death, I beg you that they will be in heaven with you. Whatever you needed to do. You know. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and she died a very holy death on January 1st.
January 1st.
Yeah.
So she got to see a lot of what done.
Sorry, January 3rd.
January 3rd.
Yes.
So she could see, she was able to witness Chalice of Mercy.
Yes.
And
she
happened.
was my little missionary. I mean, I had so many missionary groups that stayed in my home. You know, we had lots of dinners. You know, and I had whenever the Spanish group of doctors and nurses, you know, would come on a mission to Zaporizhia. We did free surgeries for people who lived in a war zone. We did free surgeries, basically offering whatever the surgeries these people needed. And so we always, come to my home, and Grandma always, dine with us, and she really enjoyed the company,
Right.
of foreign people.
Right.
Everybody loved her so much.
Do you remember, as a little girl, like, did you have a thought of what you were going to be when you grew up? Like, I'm going to do this, and would you have ever imagined yourself as a little girl doing what you're doing now?
Well, believe it or not, I had two ideas, so I had two ideas. Believe it or not, we had a program that I loved to watch as a child. It's kind of like National Geographic type.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I heard the word missionaries, missionaries, like missionaries
Yeah.
become, word mission.
Yeah.
And I was really attracted to this word.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
A missionary. Like, I thought, if, what I would like to do in my life, I thought I would like to be a missionary, knowing nothing about missionaries. Or the second thing, I thought, I like the word, there was a magazine kind of, and it was about, justice, and kind of like, and it was, what's the name? Like everything about juridical, kind of like of the things, like a lawyer type of things. So I thought about that as well, but then I thought later in life, maybe I would go study psychology. So I really, I really wanted to do some type of things that would be really helping people.
Yeah.
And helping them to come out of their, situations and maybe sufferings in life, and so. And I really wanted to travel.
Wow, that's great.
Yes, I have a very interesting story with that, because my grandmother garden, she had a very big garden, and we had a lot of fruit trees, and there was a fruit tree, a plum tree. Okay,
yeah.
I would climb that as high as I could, and I would sit there on the branches, and I would watch the airplanes fly, and I would close my eyes and imagine myself flying to different countries, and just the sound of those airplanes was so absolutely taking me into a story of my life that could be, I would imagine myself, going in it. And now I understand that, as especially, are you familiar with Theology of the Body of St. John Paul II?
Yes. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yes.
And there, Saint Pope John Paul II, he describes, how God is calling us through all experiences in our life as a child, calling you, basically wooing you,
Right.
Yes, and into what he's preparing for you to do, and
I've had those moments myself where it feels like I don't know why I'm going through what I'm going through, or learning this, or doing this, and then all of a sudden I get to this point, and it's the lights came on. When I was a little kid, I had a blue towel that I would safety pin around my neck and pretend I was Batman, and I would go out and fight invisible bad guys in the yard. Now, I'm not sure what that has to do with anything that I'm doing now, but beyond that, like, I always wanted to help people. So as a kid, I was like, well, I'm going to be a superhero.
Yeah.
Well,
that's beautiful. That's very beautiful.
But going through and like, why am I learning this? Why am I going through this? And it's all of a sudden the pieces come together, and it's like God could see the whole picture.
Because he sees you as a beloved son.
Yeah.
Beloved son, beloved daughter. He wants your full participation in that divine call, a first call in your life.
Yeah.
There's other you know, God is gonna reveal the next following story, you know.
Yeah.
But this story always in context of the story of love.
Yeah.
And what God is going to do with you, you know.
Yeah.
How He's gonna live in this world, in you and through you.
Yeah.
It's always a mission.
Yes.
You know, it's always a mission.
Yeah.
And it was, for me, it was very, let's say, after some time, actually many years of missionary work. Now, Chalice of Mercy is 15 years.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. You know?
It's amazing.
It's amazing. Pretty much all my American life I dedicated to serve my people in Ukraine.
And that's
you know?
And look at all that's happened.
Yes, it's true. Absolutely marvelous and beautiful things. But you know, it's. I should say. You know, after so many years of very intense work, you know, either rather organizing pilgrimages for Ukrainian doctors or military soldiers, because I mean, I don't think many people realize in America that war in Ukraine is already happening for 9 years.
Right.
You know,
We're just
it's
kind of
not
getting
just it's not recent.
Yeah.
Yes, full invasion.
Not,
Full invasion only 7 months.
Yeah.
You know, ago, but annexation of Crimea and all. You know, so taking the territories, Donetsk and Lugansk, you know, regions, and this is very going on already for 9 years. You know? So organizing pilgrimages for this man, and I have to tell you this, I love to have this privilege to somehow touch a very broken heart. It's such a privilege.
Yeah.
But I also understood that I cannot do this as an instrument of God. And probably many people will hate me for saying this, you know, because we are used to, I mean, you know, many saints also said, you know, like Mary Mother Teresa, which I love. She's my spiritual mother. Let's put it this way.
Yeah.
To be instrument in God's hands, only in the context if you really understand first your very identity to God. You know, for the most part, we think mission work is something very romantic. You know, that's a lot of people just go on mission trips 1 week, 2 weeks. You know,
Right.
And then they get themselves, you know, ready and excited to go. They're there for some time, they're observing things, and they kind of live in these things, and then they go back home.
Yeah.
And what it does is that not that much that they helped these people. Yes, they did.
Yeah.
You know, there was action happening to help these people. But Mother Teresa, for example, she would send people back. So enough, you know, for you to be in Kolkata. Go back home and find your neighbor, find your family members, you know, and do the mission right there. That's where you're called.
Yeah.
This is just an experience. This is kind of a little glimpse for you what your life normally should be.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So anyway, after some time of mission work, I begin to realize and being very, in fact, hurt by hearing just this very simple sentences that people would say, Valentyna, you're just such a beautiful instrument in God's hands. Because I guess my relationship with God have never been, it might sound really, I don't know, however it will sound to whoever, you know, but it have never been distant, you know?
Yeah.
It become to be right away relationship of the daughter and the father.
Yeah.
Through this Our Father prayer that my grandmother taught me, which
Right.
I prayed one day in a very, very deep suffering as a young woman, you know, of 20 years old. I moved to the United States when I was 18. You know,
Yeah.
You know, without English, without knowing many people, it was just chaos. My life was total chaos. And at 20 years old, I already did not see the purpose of my life. Can you imagine? So,
No.
and I know that many young people suffer the same thing, of course,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
we are living in a time of a great starvation of the heart for real, sincere love.
So you're, so to kind of go what you were saying with that is that you've never been distant. You've never felt that distant from God. So it's, gosh, I'm not sure how to put this. So is it, I don't know if easy is the right word, but easy for you to say yes. So like for me, maybe it's like God is calling me to do such and such. I'm like, oh, I'll have to pray, and well, not that we
Yes,
don't pray,
yeah.
but well, let me think and let me just take. And is it easier for you to like, God's called me to do this? Yes.
Because somehow I think whatever happened at that moment of that prayer,
Yeah.
I have felt so loved and so absolutely. In many ways, I had a great suffering of not having father in my life.
Yeah.
My birth father.
Yeah.
In fact, today is his birthday. It's
Oh.
beautiful. Yeah, and he was born on.
Wow.
Him and his twin brother was born on Feast of Archangels.
Oh.
So, yeah. So he was not participated much in my life, because he suffered tremendously. He was a war veteran of Afghanistan.
Okay.
So he had to face a lot of suffering, and
prayer.
Yeah, that prayer was so intense for me, and through that prayer, I literally experienced God's presence as the Father who loves me.
Yeah.
And it did something to me, so absolutely transformational, let's put it this way.
Yeah.
That I was so convinced of his existence and his presence that in 2 weeks my life was entirely changed. I have cut off all the relationship that could somehow intervene with this new life that I'm having.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was so radical.
Yeah.
And I actually, and it happened to be, it was just before I moved to Chippewa Falls. And moving to Chippewa Falls, I have met a couple who were Catholics, and I was very interested at that time already what the Catholic Church have to offer.
Yeah.
And I was when I first time participated in Holy Mass, it was at the Sacred Heart of Jesus in Eau Claire.
Okay.
And it was so amazing. When I saw the Holy Mass and what priest was doing at the altar, at that time I was like, well, what is he doing at this table? It's like,
yeah.
What is he doing? It's so amazing.
Yeah.
I knew it was the truth.
Yeah.
And I had no doubt that Catholic Church has some very fundamental truth that I just need to discover.
Yeah.
I guess it was grace.
So the prayer you pray with your grandma, and that moment really came to even more life going to Mass. That just brought all of that out into this intense reality. Intense reality,
yes.
Yeah.
And let's say when I say distant, he's definitely in complete presence, in complete presence around us, and in complete presence in us,
Yeah.
So we receive very body of Christ through the sacraments.
Yeah.
I can choose, to be far, or I can choose to be very close. That's the freedom that God gives us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at times, of course, we're not talking about that there is no suffering or there is no pain.
Right.
In fact, tremendously over these 15 years, I lived the most suffering, the most
pain,
even more. But the conviction of that I'm his. I have a father. I have his entire love that is available.
Yeah.
Whenever
Really?
I reach for it. Yeah.
Sure.
Whenever I reach
Yes,
for it, it's
yeah.
there. You know, and I think maybe I could share something that I have not shared much, but
Sure.
I guess I could probably share that
Sure.
at this time. It happened about, maybe 3.5 years ago now. It was time for deeper, I guess, reconversion.
Yeah.
Yes, a reconversion, and
Yes.
we go through those moments, right?
Yes.
Because my relationship, as I mentioned so much, was so deeply built on relationship with God as the Father. Jesus, for me, although absolutely, there's everything was about Him, even in the mission, the sacraments.
Yeah.
In fact, Chalice of Mercy is based on the sacraments,
Yeah.
really, to help people to know the sacrament.
Yeah.
But my relationship, let's say, as a relationship with Jesus, needed to be yet fortified,
Mm-hmm.
And there was one time, it was in prayer. Of course, I'm not talking about any particular vision. It's impression we experience sometimes in prayer. I all of a sudden understood how much Jesus loves the Father and Father loves Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And that how Jesus praying to the Father and how Father receives this prayer.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it was like visual to me. And I have to tell you, Chris, after already many years of being a Catholic, I have experienced such jealousy in my life that I have never experienced.
Really?
It was horrible.
Really?
It was like a purgatory to me.
Really?
And I would give anything, absolutely anything, to be right now, right there in the middle of it all.
Yeah.
And in fact, I felt like to say to Jesus, He, Father, have given you to death because He loves so much me. It was all of us.
Turn around. Sorry.
Yes,
I just realized
absolutely.
we've been through here already.
Yes, we went through here. Yes.
I'm so sorry.
No. So that I don't know where that jealousy even came from. It was, I think what the Father was doing is that He was helping me to understand. He was helping me to understand that how close my place must be, and that through Jesus, even deeper, my daughtership must be established.
Yeah.
It was the ready time.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? After so many years, what was happening to me at this moment, unexplainable. I can't explain that, but it was so real. If there would be nobody around, I probably would just cry and roll myself in the grass.
Yeah.
That's how strong it was for me. And then I understood that the Father is calling me, inviting me into deeper relationship with the one who is gonna make me even the story of the one who loves and the beloved who responds.
Yeah.
And so it seems Jesus was inviting me and saying to me, listen, with me we can do this. We can pray this way. It's like He was inviting me to know Him deeper, closer. Together we will, because I would give anything to be right in the middle of all of that.
Right.
Like just
right.
As you know, you're a father, and maybe with your wife, when you hug her, your child just want to get right in the middle of it.
Right, right.
That's how it was. So
right. That's so intense.
It was a really intense moment, and then since that moment, it was that everything. Sometimes it sounds like it's really hard to put this into the words, and I don't want to say that it was before like this and now it's this way, because it's just really not like that,
right. Right.
But it was this time when I was understanding that no, I'm not an instrument. I'm a daughter. I'm a daughter. I'm a beloved daughter. God don't need me because He needs me to do something for Him, and all of this beautiful mission have no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
If that relationship first, if I'm not understanding first that He's the one who loved me first, and then depending on how I receive this love, I will be able to do this mission, to reveal that story of love He has with me, and so do you, because I can share. I can get really already beautifully converted of just hearing your story, depending on how you live your life today with God.
Right, right. I wonder if that's what people can get hung up on is because you talk about jealousy, that jealous of other people's relationship with God, like, oh, He's got to love her more than me because she's doing so much more than I am, and He's calling her to all these incredible things, and here I am just kind of living day to day and whatever, and but we have that chance. He's calling us to a beautiful mission. It may not be Chalice of Mercy. It may be Chalice of Mercy. Who knows? Who knows what He's calling people to? But like, we're all called to some beautiful mission, and to be able to be open to dig deeper.
Absolutely.
Because I think sometimes for me, I kind of get to thought of like, is what I'm doing not good enough for you? And I get jealous of other people as well. I can have jealousy or jealous that I want to be like this person or this. And there was one time actually in adoration where I was praying about that, and I was seeing all these other ministers out there doing all these incredible things, and I was like, I need to be like that. I need to be like that. And that's kind of what I kept thinking. And I was in adoration, but I was so beaten down about it. And in adoration, He said to me, it wasn't like an audible voice. It was like inside. Yes. He said, you are no one's understudy. He said, I don't need another one of them. I already have one of those. I need you. I created you individually to be you. So go be you.
Yes.
And stop looking at all these other people. Now you can look to them like, how are they doing this? Can I learn from them? That's one thing, but not to be them.
Yes, because our mission is only to point out where to eat and where to drink, right? A spiritual food,
right? And
so once we have that our own, as Jesus was saying to woman at the well, now the living waters will flow from you. Living waters, and that's what people are hungry. They're hungry for revelation of Chris or Mary or whoever. They're really hungry for what do you have, the relationship you have. Show me, share with me, because everybody is very intrigued about love stories.
They are.
They don't. I understood that young people is not interested about hearing about missions and all the works. They might get inspired, but they will get inspired as much as you truly sharing something authentic.
Right, because all of a sudden we're the same.
Yeah.
You're not this other space being or something that I can never be like. Like we're the same, and we can have similar experiences.
Exactly.
We can learn from each other.
Exactly.
And I think people who can communicate that, they're authentic, and what they have is attainable. Like this is, like you said, we're showing people where to eat and drink. I mean, it's not difficult. I mean, it seems so simple.
But
yeah.
It's possible when you are fed and when you have enough.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it's so incredible. Just look at how God paralleled everything for us. Everything reflects Him. Everything reflects Him.
Yeah.
Even our physical hunger.
Right.
Even our physical thirst.
Right. Right. Right.
It's incredible.
Right. Right. And I've had moments too, like you talk about that moment with God that you were kind of in the pits, and I've had moments of prayer where I've been angry, and I've said, it may not be my proudest moment, but I've said, you created me, and you gave me the feelings and the emotions of happiness and joy, but also anger and sadness, and now I'm going to give my anger back to you. And I've had moments where I've just said,
Yes.
This is what I'm thinking. I'm like, look, this is a relationship.
Yes.
And so I need to be honest with you, and like, this is where I'm struggling. And of course, I'm in the wrong. but He's there for me, and not angry. He doesn't. I think we get scared to be angry with God in a respectful way because we think it's disrespectful, but it's a relationship. And like, God, I want you in this anger because you're the only one that's going to heal this.
Exactly.
And I know that.
He's not scandalized by our anger.
Right.
He's not scandalized by our sin.
Right.
He's not scandalized, the way how we can, he desires so passionately and deeply to prove you his love.
Yeah.
He's like this beloved from the Son of Sons.
Right.
We don't prefer, I guess, or don't choose to see God the way how He loves us in that such a passionate way.
Right.
But yet we deeply passionately need this. We're
right.
like we have created intact with so many feelings.
Right. Right.
And like for example, lately I've been, whenever I go to the chapel and I pray in adoration, I ask Jesus, what do you feel today? What do you feel? What do you feel in this chapel right now today? What do you want to share with me?
Wow.
It's powerful, giving Him chance to speak.
Yeah, I think I know me particularly, I do a lot of talking in prayer. And I don't.
Listen,
yeah, I'm like, it's like a Christmas wish list. It's like, do this, do this, do this. All right, amen, I'm done. Let's go. And then I just don't stop and just listen. And when I listen, it's moments like, when he said, you're no one's understudy.
Yeah.
It comes to me, and other things. It's like, okay, there it is. I just need to stop.
Yeah. We treat Jesus as somebody who's just like standing there to, okay, give me all of your sack of your troubles.
Right.
I'm gonna just put it on my shoulder.
Right.
And I'm gonna solve it all. But
right.
We need to remember, fully God and fully man.
Yeah.
Yeah. He intensify our feelings often, and whenever I feel this anger and suffering and troubled, I'm very troubled.
Yeah.
Or I'm experiencing I'm experiencing that I want to cry. I just want to cry, and I'm lacking something. There's something is going on. Or there's all kinds of temptations start rolling over my head.
Yeah.
I've learned that this is the perfect cry that I have. That means that Valentyna is desperately need time with Jesus. Desperately needed this time of just him and I. That's it. Just him and I. Because Chris, I truly don't find any sense of anything even possibly can be done, because we Christians are very clever.
Oh yeah.
We know how to do all the beautiful missions and all the beautiful retreats and classes and programs and all these other things that and trying to convince others that they really need to love Jesus, you know.
Yeah.
But it's not convincing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not convincing.
Yeah.
But when we speak about our, just really frankly,
Yeah.
Just about all of the things that troubles in our heart, and sharing with others about our relationship, a real relationship, somehow we're helping others to just, again, it's just so attractive, our love stories are extremely attractive, but when they're authentic,
Right. And we let people in. And we're willing to go into other people as well.
Exactly. We oftentimes don't want to, because it's inconvenient to be in the middle of something.
Right.
Or somebody's life. Or,
right. I have my own stuff going on.
Yeah, I have too much. I have too much, happening. It's okay. I know this in America, it's not like this in Ukraine. We're really forward, kind of really blunt. And sometimes my friends say that, I hate what you're saying because it's like so tickling my ribs, like
right.
it's like it's too much. But it is really at times necessary that we help to we enter, especially if the person is open in the heart. No, we enter into this heart without fear.
Yeah.
And just sort of being there, vigilant with the person and helping them to see, helping them further.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's all it's about. There's no need the other mission really.
Right.
And so person could, or could, and it would be great once they're left from the conversation with us,
Yeah.
They already know maybe a little bit further what they gotta do, and they're
right.
very happy about this. This is what I'm gonna focus on now,
Right.
And
right.
I don't feel jealous because of your, because I really love that much.
Right. Right.
I gotta go to discover it,
Right.
Ciao. I didn't
right.
mean to,
right. right. They don't believe it.
Yeah.
They don't believe it. They don't believe that they can be loved. I mean, and I don't know if this is the way, same in Ukraine or not, but like self-esteem is like at an all-time low, especially I know in America. And so what people think of themselves, people think they're worthless. People think they're nothing. People think they don't deserve to be loved. People think all this stuff. And
I think it comes in America, if I could say.
Yeah.
I think it comes from the very puritanical background. I shouldn't be voicing my opinion. I should be just really kind of hidden. I should never speak. I should never, I should. I'm nobody. It's a really wrong understanding humility.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that really needs to be catechism have to happen about what really humility is.
Yeah.
Because humility has nothing to do with us being silent and never say this and always be that, and sort of kind of a painting.
Right.
But that painting as of another human person who wants to see you shine.
Yeah.
Yep. The painting of God is a colorful, all kinds of colors, colorful, vision, that how God's seen you, with all of your emotion, with all of your what you've given, the jewels that He has installed in you, the beauty of your soul,
right,
and the way how you can share your gifts in this
right,
world,
right. I think there's that saying that if you want to know the artist, look at the art that he's created.
Exactly.
And if each one of us were to look in the mirror and see that art that he's created,
yes,
you're going to get to know who the artist is.
Absolutely.
But we have to see ourselves as that work of art.
Yes.
And sometimes we don't.
We try to then, then it comes to the extreme, it's me and I am power and I deserve and all of that.
Oh,
but it's in such a human broken way. And worth nothing.
Right,
Again,
right.
you know, it's
Because
again
you could
worth
receive
nothing.
all that, and you're
Yeah.
still going to be empty.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So the remedy to it is that it is not that I love God first, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is He loved me first.
Right.
He loved me first, and I cannot give Him love. I cannot give Him mission. I cannot serve Him. I cannot do all of this type of things. It will tire me out.
Yeah.
It will exhaust me ultimately.
Yeah.
You know, but everything comes from the foundation is that I'm a child of God. I'm a child, and Jesus perfectly showed this in the Gospels. You know,
Yep.
that He came to show us and reveal to us the Father. He has not taught any other prayer.
Yes.
He did not try to convince us of anything else. It's like, I'm gonna talk to my Father. I'm gonna decide it with the Father. When you pray, close your door, go to the Father. Pray your Father in secret. Father, 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 Father.
Yeah.
It's a fatherless world, and Father really must. We could right now, as of this particular moment, inviting that beautiful, that omnipotent Father to enter right in.
Yeah.
With reconstructing anything that is broken.
Yeah.
Restoring anything that is, you know, is absolutely seems unrestorable.
Yeah.
And everything, all the relationship and missions and anything else and vocations will only come through that.
Yeah.
You know, because it's something that God is going to do with you.
Yeah.
There is a crisis of priesthood and consecrated life, okay?
Right.
Well, how can that be a good priesthood if there is no foundation of relationship of how Jesus have done it and showed perfectly to do it with the Father, you know?
Yeah.
So we can know all kinds of theology. We can read all kinds of books and saints and try to follow them and imitate them. All of that is just going to continue to fail you, you know? And then comes desperation, and then God don't love me, and then I'm not enough, and then I cannot do this properly, and then must I not do this anymore, you know? And maybe I must do something else, and maybe I am wrong, and maybe I was not called for this, and so chaos.
Yeah.
And so I think the coming out of this chaos is just essentially to learn how to pray our Father prayer good.
Right? Which was
Yes.
the beginning for you. The very beginning.
The very beginning.
The very beginning.
And you know, I also realized one day, praying that very Our Father, is if Jesus would stop me, He would, as if He was stopping me. And I was praying, and Our Father who art in heaven. And Jesus, no, Valentyna. No. Not our Father. Not like our Father. But first, you have to understand that our Father, yours and mine, we are praying this together. Our Father who art in heaven. Your and mine. And then it's becoming our Father. Because you cannot understand our as entirety, one body of Christ.
Yeah.
As if you're not doing this without, if you are doing this without Jesus. Even praying the Our Father prayer.
Yeah.
Helpless.
Yeah.
Totally helpless.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. That's amazing. There's so much to that. There's so much to think about.
Yes.
We have to take another 2-hour drive. Because there's so much more to open up.
It went really fast.
I know
this hour.
It does.
I enjoy it.
I really appreciate you doing this. This is so great. We'll have to do it again though.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
I'm thankful that you continue this beautiful mission in the diocese.
Thank you.
Just being very joyful, and you continue to have your youthful heart. Just continue to
thank you.
Give joy and your a beautiful work that you do with God.
Thank you. It's been something else. So I mean, we just keep going.
Exactly.
We keep going. We were in a meeting yesterday, and they read one of the Psalms and had us do the Lectio Divina with it and pick out a phrase, and one of the phrases in there was something like, when you have done all I've commanded you. And like what stuck out to me was, gosh, I hope I never get to that. Like I hope I'm never done.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be done. Like let's keep
Yes.
going. I don't want to be done.
Yes,
So
yes, because
so keep asking.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
yeah.
And a couple of days ago, I was just really kind of pondering the phrase, from was it Matthew? I think it was, when Jesus was speaking about the kingdom, it is within you.
Yeah.
It is within you. All of a sudden, it was like it is there. It is all given right here, and it's within you. So share what is within you.
Yeah.
Share what is within you, and that love, that kingdom, of God that is within you is coming, and wars, tribulations, sufferings, all of these things is very much depend on how our heart is going to reply to that call of willingness of just finally say, yes, I allow you to love me. I allow you. I agree that I'm not the one who loved you first. That's it. That's very humility. That's humility right there.
That is absolutely.
And I see, like, for example, I see what's happening in my country right now in Ukraine. It is a liberation of any possible idea or ideology of any country, and showing to the whole world what life without God could be. And as I see that my people, way back in 2014 when the revolution started, and naming that revolution of dignity, literally Google it, revolution of dignity, and outthrowing anything that has to do with Soviet Union roots, the red dragon tail, and all of that. We are living in I would say the most the time of the cross, yes, but at the same time the time of revelation of the love of God, revelation and participation of Our Lady, and this time of crushing the head of serpent. It's happening. So it's a great hope. Great
so
hope.
much,
Yes.
And we're praying like crazy. I want to do more.
Please pray. Continue pray for Ukraine, because we do want to finish this war in our land, in Ukraine, and we're willing as entire. I have as entire nation. We are willing to be that bulletproof jacket for entire world. And
they are. It's inspiring what they're doing.
A lot of death,
and that's an understatement.
A lot of death, a lot of suffering, a lot of endurance, a lot of crucifixion, a lot of crucifixes are now, we see. And yet, God is restoring the human heart and then evoking the humanity for prayer and realization that without God there is no future. And every war, Our Lady said in Medjugorje, the war starts from the human heart. That's where the war starts. And we see this. It has. Obviously, anybody who started a very serious wars and dictatorships and again, as we've started, Nazi regime and Soviet regime and all of that is very so satanic. We see that. But we also have to realize that we must change them that heart, that it will be released from evil, and that Satan will have no grasp on it anymore, and consecrating our hearts to the Immaculate Heart of Mary, taking Rosary into our hand, and let's go.
Yeah.
into the future, whatever
Yes.
God has for us,
Yeah.
even to the death. You
Yeah.
know.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Oh boy. Oh boy. And then you're heading off to Minneapolis now?
yes, I'm going today to Minneapolis to meet Ukrainian soldiers who lost limbs.
Yeah.
Imagine we have about only that is registered now, and we are still in the active stage of war, 7 months now, and we have 12,000 men who lost limbs,
Wow.
men and women, you know,
Wow.
and it's only military.
Yeah.
So
So you know the
we don't even know
Yeah.
civilians, children without limbs, you know, men
Yeah.
and women. And so Chalice of Mercy is collaborating together with an incredible nonprofit from out of Minneapolis called
wow.
Protest Foundation.
Yeah.
I would invite, if people want to help Ukraine and further, not just prayer, you know, and, you know, people in our diocese, I have to say that, using this opportunity,
Yeah.
I'm saying that thank you deeply
Yeah.
to our diocese, for churches in our diocese, for collection, mandatory collection, and a collection of items we have shipped to Ukraine at the beginning. It was phenomenal. You know, absolutely phenomenal. I'm so thankful. People have responded in a very amazing way. And
So awesome.
I am very thankful to our bishop too, because Bishop Callahan, William Callahan, he accepted. On the 4th day of war, I came to him, and I shared with him entire, you know, whatever I could at that particular moment, what was happening, and I was so amazed at how aware he was.
Yeah.
And that he right away, what can I do? And we're gonna be there. He gave me his shoulder, you know, support and shoulder, and just he gave me so much time. He spent it like 6 hours that day with me. You know,
great.
it's amazing. You know, the interviews and everything. He was curious. He was there.
Yeah.
He was. You know, he was really touched. He was hurt by the situation.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. He's always amazing. He does.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So I'm really thankful.
Yeah.
And no matter what, I'm just to see that, you know, during the time of suffering, you know who's your friend.
Yeah.
And you know who was your friend.
Yeah. Right. Right.
And unfortunately, I have actually people who I thought will be there immediately were not.
Oh boy.
And people who I thought, you know, they might not be there, you know. I didn't expect it. Like, they were right there immediately.
Wow.
You know.
Yep.
So that's very interesting, and we share that. All, you know, everybody, ask any Ukrainian right now in the world, they will tell you this the same.
They're
you
finding
know,
that.
we're finding that, you know, which is, you know, it's alright.
Yeah.
I have discovered incredible people with whom I can walk during hard times of life. You know.
Yep.
So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we will keep you in our prayers, Ukraine in our prayers, Chalice of Mercy in our prayers.
Thank you.
All of it. All of it. All
Protest Foundation.
Yeah, Protest Foundation. Right.
Yeah, because we are collaborating now.
Yes.
And there's nothing more I want than these men stand up on their feet.